Hi, my love, and welcome to Yes to Life podcast, a podcast about soulful living and sacred feminine embodiment. It is a podcast about following our dreams, open up to our full potential, and saying yes to life. It is also a podcast about remembering the sacredness of the female body and the feminine essence. My name is Helena. I'm a mother of 6 beautiful children and a sacred, sensual and feminine embodiment guide. I help women in all stages of their lives to love, adore and understand their female bodies, to celebrate their feminine essence and to awakening their inner goddess. I'm the founder of Blissful Feminine Flow and the creatrix of programs like Yoni Flowering, Womb Bliss, Sacred Bleeding, Blissful Mama, Pleasure Queen, and Sacred Feminine Body Love. I have always been very open and sensitive and have a feeling that more is possible. Beside my deep love and curiosity for the female body and the feminine essence, which I got mostly from my own pregnancy, birth and motherhood, I am also very fascinated about people who have dared to walk their own path and follow their dreams and are showing us that more is possible. I can see the power of us coming together and have these deep conversations about the things that we care about. I can also see the gift of listening to these deep conversations. That's why I started this podcast. If this touches something deep within you, please stay tuned and let's get started with today's episode. Welcome, my love, to another episode of Yes to Life podcast. And in this episode, I have with me my beautiful guest, Georgina, an absolutely loving and amazing woman who helping us to free our voices. And it's such a beautiful and juicy conversation. And she always makes me smile and also touches something deep within my heart and in my body. And after this conversation, I understood it more deeply, what it is. And it is her authentic expression of her truth that inspire so many of us to do the same, to listen, to trust our channel and to free our voices and to express our unique gifts into the world. So let us just dive into this conversation. So, my beautifuls, I'm here once again and welcome to Yes to Life podcast. And today I'm here with my guest, Georgina, a beautiful, beautiful woman who always gets me to smile every time I see her pop up in the feed. And she also opens my body and my heart in a way that is very special. And I know that it's both her voice and also the energy that she is bringing through her voice and through her radiance. So I'm so, so happy to have her here. Welcome, Georgina.
Thank you, beautiful, for having me as your guest. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today, to share space and to have this conversation with you. I'm very honored. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I'm also it's so interesting how every energy that we are going to talk about brings up something in me. And just when we set the date for this recording, something started to open up inside of me, and the voice of course started to be activated, and everything that stood in the way of my voice started to come up, and tears and memories and longings and desires, and it was like opening up a floodgate of my voice and also seeing everything that stands in the way. So
for the listeners that don't know you or don't know what you do, will you please share a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course, it's a pleasure. So, I am a Voice Alchemist Mentor. So, I'm on a mission to support women who are here on big missions, right? To create like big positive planetary impact in the world, awaken to their voice, and really discover new facets of their expression. Really like coming from this place and this knowingness that there is a unique frequency that each one of us is holding in their bodies and in their DNA, no, and in their essence and in their soul, and knowing that the highest impact that we can create in the world will always come from us attuning to that frequency, no, and that frequency, of course, it is manifested through everything that we create, everything that we are, everything that we do, everything that we express. But our voice is a byproduct, right, of this frequency, of this uniqueness that each one of us is holding and has the responsibility to share with the world. So I work with voice as the vehicle to support these women really attuned to this highest frequency, which will always be authenticity, right? So what I do is to support them and creating like the playgrounds and the spaces to my frameworks and the unique way in which I work with voice, which is through the somatics, the energetics of voice, the metaphysics of voice, and really creating the spaces where they can lean into new facets of what is possible for their voice, so they can uncover what is the true potential that their message is here to create, and so they can also discover more aspects of themselves, no? Because through voice we access deeper parts of our soul, and we truly go into this journey of remembering who we are, no? I'm just getting the chills now. So this is the work that I do and that I'm so honored to be doing, because truly it is very transformative and very healing at very deep and profound levels.
Yes. Listen, I can get goosebumps and chills and tears in my eyes, because that's so true. And I think that is so much that we are holding inside of us, and working with women and very much the yonis and their creativity and all their expression of the feminine. There's so much fear, and I can sit with them and sit in sessions. I think you always have seen this too, that we want to say something, but it's so much fear that we are twisted it around in many ways, and we have to let it go, and to train ourselves to let go. It sounds so easy to just say what you want or to speak your truth, but when you go into it in the depth and you want to share this, as you said, that deep soul vibration, it can be scary.
Yeah, 100%. It is one of the bravest things that we can do, especially as women, right? Because we carry this soul remembrance of the collective, no? In the feminine subconscious, we have all these memories of women being persecuted, women being killed, women being shut down for being who they are, for being the sorcerers, for being the healers, for being the channels of consciousness, no? And even if we haven't experienced direct experiences in this lifetime, which it's pretty obvious that we all have in many ways, no? But even if we have not been persecuted for being who we are, we still carry that remembrance in our DNA. And now it is the time that all of us women have been asked to rise, no, into our divine expression and to voice all these things that maybe older generations couldn't voice, that our parents couldn't voice, that our grandmothers couldn't voice. And we hold right now, no, as these new earth leaders, the responsibility to give voice to all these things that have been shut down, to the depths of life, no, to the mystery of life. We are the bringers of also darkness and the mystery and the void, which is the womb, no? And that is like the representation of the womb. And because that is so scary in a world that is so ruled by the over-masculine way of doing things, nothing is as scary as seeing women in their power who bring this energy of chaos and creativity and life force energy, you know? So we all still carry that memory in our DNA, and that is being played out every time that we are about to use our voices for something that we know is going to create big planetary change. Be it going on a stage and deliver a speech, or sharing your story, or maybe like speaking your boundaries or speaking your desires with your partner, right? Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So it is really profound work for that reason, because it really has a direct impact in all the areas of your life. And we carry all this trauma still in the body. And it is our responsibility to do something about it, to liberate ourselves, because by doing that work, we are also liberating our ancestors, and we are also creating a better world for those to come, no? A world where everyone's free to be themselves, everyone's free to express their truth, to be authentically who they are. And I really believe that that is the highest service that we came here to do. So of course it requires so much courage, going into the shadows, going into memory lanes that maybe are not very easy to go into, you know, really realizing how many times we could not speak our truth because we felt afraid of doing so. Probably we were even experiencing these memories from other past lives, no? But it is very healing work, because it really goes so deep, but at the same time it has such a big ripple effect that not even our minds can comprehend.
Yes, exactly. And I think we don't understand, and especially if we haven't dared to walk into this path and tried it a little bit. And I think some women that talk to me, they think that there's something wrong with them. Why can't I just speak? And they start to judge themselves for that. And as you said, just trying to set the boundaries and just owning our yeses and our nos. Because when I work with the yonis, that's one of the practices we're entering her, just to know, is it yes or is it no? And that little thing can be so hard. And when they start to work with that, something happens in the throat.
And that is primarily because of the connection, right, between the throat and the womb, which is like so intrinsically connected. It's crazy how we are not taught that, right, from a very young age. Like all the memories that will be stored in your womb, in the connective tissue, all the emotions, even like the sexual trauma that as a woman you experience at some point in your life is getting stored there, no? And the more that you open up the center of power to release the shame, to release those blockages that prevent you from fully saying yes when is a yes and no when is a no, and really standing your ground and really staying in your power, that has a direct impact in the throat, because it's like these two centers are mirrors to each other. So it's like it's the same energy, but you know, as we know, as above so below. And anything that we are not fully seeing from this manifestation center, which is our womb, the creation center, is being expressed out there. So if there is no clarity, if there is no power anchored in our wombs, if we still haven't seen what is the traumatic experiences that we have experienced in this lifetime, and we have cleared out our womb from any energetic cords, from all these like painful experiences, which is something that I know that, you know, through yonic practices, through pleasure, you know, pleasure practices are sacred, and that type of work is something that we really can do that has a direct impact in the throat. Because, you know, if you cannot see what is held in your body, how can you pretend to speak your truth, right? Like, first of all, you have to go into the void and do that profound work of awakening to your womb, which is awakening to your power and your manifestation abilities and your creativity abilities. And then you speak out into existence, no, through the voice. So the way I see it as well, this is like something that I have been sort of like channeling myself, or something that makes a lot of sense to me after working with women, no, in this path of awakening to voice and seeing the relationship between the womb and the throat, is that, you know, the womb is this magnetic energy, the quantum portal, the feminine principle of life, and voice, it has this other like polarity, which is the yang energy, because voice is light, voice is information, voice is like the sperm that goes into the womb and fertilizes a possibility or a vision into existence, right? So it's like these two forces work in partnership. You cannot only work with the womb if you're not able to speak your truth and say what you stand for and say your desires and speak your boundaries and your needs and everything that is true to you. You know, you really have to work hand in hand with one another. So that is something that I have been also like, that has been landing very powerfully with me. And the importance of really, bringing these two principles, the feminine and masculine, together in union, in balance, to really create a world, a reality that is in coherence with our heart. Because in the end, like, you know, the space that connects these two centers is the heart. So always doing it from the heart, which is, you know, the filter that really allows you to see if what you're desiring and comes from your womb is in coherence with your truth, and what you are speaking out is also in coherence with your truth. And then you find the coherence through the heart coherence, no? And this is like from the space that you operate. But you cannot work only, you know, with the feminine principles, working with the womb, if you're not working with expression, and vice versa. And that is something very powerful that I have been noticing and experiencing myself as well. So it's truly amazing and fascinating to see how interconnected everything is.
Oh, absolutely. Everything is so, it's so, yes, it resonates so deeply in me. And you're describing it so beautiful, because I saw it early when I worked with women that was giving birth, and also in my own life when I was giving birth, that sometimes she has to say something to get the baby out, not just because sometimes we talk about the sounds, and sounds sometimes helps, but sometimes she have to say it in words. There's something that she has hold it inside of her that she have to express to get the baby out. And that can be, I remember uh, with my youngest daughter, when I was giving birth to her, I have to tell the midwife um, about something that was happening inside in my life that wasn't even, that had nothing to do with the birth, but I had to say it. And she was just hugging me and looking me in the eyes, and my whole body melted, and my cervix and my yoni was opening up. So
Wow.
sometimes I think we forget that sometimes it's a certain frequency or sound, but sometimes it's particularly words. What do you see about that?
Wow, I find it fascinating. I find it fascinating because, you know, I have been also learning myself on traditional like birthing, parteria, and I went to this immersion with an incredible wise woman from the Andes in Peru who taught us like how to give birth like the ancestral way, no? And of course, that is not something that I have experienced myself just yet, but I know that my soul is preparing for that moment to really have all the resources and information that I really need to do it in the most blissful way, because we know that, you know, giving birth can be pleasurable as well. So it's like, okay, training the body and the mind to understand that and to really know that this is a possibility, breaking free from all these not narratives that we have been told, no, about what giving birth is in the system. And, you know, something that we learn a lot with Ruro, who is this woman coming from Peru, was that, of course, it makes a lot of sense that women really need to use their voice in the process of birthing, you know, like doing like the sounds, and like use the voice to liberate whatever emotions, whatever is coming up for her. And of course, because the more that you open your jaw and you relax the muscles in your mouth, the more that the mirror also gets relaxed. So the more that the pelvis is relaxed and it's just like ready for that experience, not to give birth. So we were told, you know, that was a pillar really to giving birth blissfully, because ultimately something that I also understood is that giving birth is a sexual experience. right? Because in the end, it involves, right, birthing life through your manifestation portal, which is also the pleasure portal. And it is also what brings you the bliss and the joy and all the good things, no, that we are here as humans to experience. So, you know, could you really imagine making love to your loved one without actually using your voice to voice your pleasure, to voice, like, you know, what you're feeling, to scream if you want to scream, to, you know, to be the embodiment of that radiance? You could not really imagine, no, like a process like that having to be shut down, because that really puts us in the other polarity of repression that so many of us as well have experienced at some points in our lifetime, not being able to even, like, you know, use our voices to express ourselves because of the shame, or because we were maybe making love with someone that we didn't want to be with. So many conditionings that as women we have experienced, right, about like sexual trauma and stuff. So, you know, that really hit me, really realizing that giving birth is a sexual experience. So we need to treat it as such. You have to have the intimacy, you have to have, you know, your body relaxed. You need to be really in a space where you feel safe to feel, and you feel safe to use your voice, and you feel safe to be seen in that expression as well. No, so I love that you brought that topic on the table, because I feel this is so important. Like, it's such an important message to also share with the world, no, on really like birth being a space where, you know, you really get to feel it all and express it all and use your voice. So it makes a lot of sense as well, leaving that on a side, to, you know, for the woman to feel like she needs to liberate something from her system before giving birth or during the process of giving birth. Because in the end, like, all these unsaid feelings or unexpressed feelings or unsaid opinions, you know, this is creating a contraction in our throat, like somatically as well, in our chest, no? And that, of course, is putting some resistance to us opening the cervix and really like feeling it all and opening up to be a channel, no? So it makes a lot of sense that for the woman, she needs to use her voice to liberate from the system. Like, this is what I think, this is what I stand for, this is what I desire to express, and that just naturally opens up more the field, so you can become that channel, no? So I absolutely love that you brought this in here, because, you know, I had the feeling that it would be like that, in that process of really like, okay, I just feel the urge, and I need to honor that urge to say this, because I know that it's something that I'm holding on to, and that once you say it, like, boom, it's out. Like, once you voice something that you're feeling, if it's truth, boom, like your body just can relax into the state of being, no? So wow, I absolutely love that.
Yes. And as you described it
So
now,
beautiful.
I can see that that is what's happening when we birth something in our business, maybe, or whatever it is that we want to birth out in the world. And what something that was coming up for me now these days before we were having this conversation was that the pain and the sadness of holding so much back. I was writing it in one of my Swedish groups yesterday, that just starting to hold back a little bit, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then suddenly we're just stuck and depressed, maybe, if we let it go many years or even days of not expressing everything that you're talking about, that comes up with the connection with the womb, or with the connection with the source of truth. You know you are an oracle, and you know that you are going to say this, and you don't do it, then immediately you start to get stagnated and block, and also the thought starts to become more not so clear. So it's so important, even if nobody, of course, it's beautiful if someone is seeing what you express, or receiving what you share. But even if nobody is doing that, it's so important. So I
Complete.
understand.
Mm. No, completely. Like the more, like I love that you said as well, like that we are oracles, right? Because the more that we trust in whatever that we're receiving and allow ourselves and our voices to be the channel and to express that out, the more confidence you build in who you are, right? And the more sense of wholeness you have in your being. So it's like, imagine a lifetime of receiving a lot of like intuitive downloads, or if you're like a very empathic person, like receiving like everyone's emotions and not being able to channel that, or not being able to then express whatever that you're feeling out into the world, that creates, as you well said, like a sense of stagnancy that ultimately is capping you from being the authentic expression of yourself, and ultimately that is capping you from attracting into your field what is meant for you, right? And that is always something that I teach a lot inside my spaces, how to lean in and open up to be a channel through light language, for example, or improvisation when it comes to like you using your voice and singing. It is so important to trust that we are that channel, and to practice building that muscle of trust in the fact that whatever that comes through you, if you are expressing it from the heart, you know, it is truth, even if your mind cannot comprehend it. So the more that you trust that whatever's coming through, even when the things do not make sense for the logical mind, because when you lean into doing practices, channeling practices like light language, you have to let go of really trying to control what's coming through or understand from the logical and rational mind what is coming through, because that cannot be comprehended. And that is okay, because once you see the impact of you being that channel, you doing words and sounds and channeling weird things with your voice that do not make any sense, but that do have an impact on the other, when you lean in and you realize that, and the other person reflects that back to you, that is like, okay, like a building of that muscle in the oracle that you are. And the more that you trust that channel, the oracle that you are, the more you are vibrating at your highest frequency, and the more you allow yourself to speak your truth at every now moment, and the more bold and confident that you become in how you use your voice with others, right? So that is what makes you vibrate at this highest frequency, which is authenticity, which is your unique signature frequency, right? So like, to me, like I feel we are on this journey, as especially as women who are building a legacy, right? Who are creating impact in the world, who are supporting other people. We have this responsibility to keep building this muscle and this trust, because it is so easy to do so when you know what you have to say, right? When you know, okay, I have this message to convey, and I know it has this other, you know, it has this end goal, and it will make people do this or that, or buy this offer, or give him a validation. But what happens when you just trust that whatever is coming through you is actually a service for yourself and the other, right? That then like the channel is clear, and then you start seeing, like, the more authentically that you show up and use your voice, you start seeing people like coming into your field and being magnetized into you, because you are honoring your divine expression. You are allowing that to be just expressed through the vessel that you are, the instrument that you are. And to me, that has been key in this journey, really understanding that the only responsibility that I have is to clear out the channel all the time, clear out the channel and build confidence and trust in my voice and what I'm here to share with the world. Because every time that I have been holding back from speaking my truth, from saying no, from putting that boundary, every time that I have done that, it was like a part of myself was dying, right? And that really feels like that. It feels like you're saying no to yourself when you're not daring to say no to the other. And
Yes.
to me, that is fully being at service of, you know, the planetary evolution right now, to really honor our channel, to give spaces, to create the spaces so our voices can be expressed, and really do it from this spirit and heart. And that has been the most powerful healing for me, because I am coming from a space of not being able to trust my voice and not being able to trust my expression. I always say that this is my medicine, because it is my medicine. I am constantly channeled, like challenged and initiated into using my voices in ways that older Georgina would be like, what? Did you do that? Did you share that with your family members? Did you share that with your audience? Are you crazy? You know, like these are the voices that still keep coming up. But the more that I trust that this is not about me and it is about being a divine instrument for what was planted in my heart at some point, the more that I lean in and the more that I build that confidence, the bigger the impact that I create and the bigger the transformations that happen with my clients also are, and everyone who is in my field. So that will always be our highest service, just to get out of the way and see, okay, what is coming through and what desires to be expressed in connection with your womb and your heart, and seeing like what is it that you are here to say, and honoring that above all.
Oh, so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And also thank you for sharing that it's not always easy for you, because I think it's so that's the way you see you're expressing yourself with ease, and I think many can think that it's always easy, but just that you said about sometimes you express something and afterwards you get that panic attack, or well, no, what did I just share, or just some, yes, something in the system that you have to work through. But as you said your work was to keep the channel open or clear, and I can see that, as I was saying earlier, that just by starting to be quiet and don't let the things out, the channel get a little bit messy.
Emotions, information, thoughts, projections that are not even yours probably in the first place, or maybe they are, but they're just asking you to clear them out, right? So it is a daily challenge, to be honest. It is a daily challenge, and yeah, I love to talk about it because I feel like it is very important as well to just like share, right? Like where I'm coming from, to really understand like the profound like alchemy things, because I don't know if you're very familiar with astrology, but that is like a symbolic language that I use a lot inside my spaces as well to support my clients really like understand and see, you know, what is their unique way of showing up in the world and expressing themselves. So I am a Saturn in the fifth house, right? So for me, expression is my mastery eventually, but it has been the space where I have been experiencing the most blockages in my life. Because you know that Saturn always shows the shadow, right? Like it shows you, okay, this is the construct that you have built for yourself, but you're not seeing what is on the other side of the wall, right? And it is constantly a space where I am constantly evolving into new edges, into new expressions, into new facets that were completely unknown to me, that probably like my ego wouldn't be able to feel safe to express, right? So this is a constant work that I keep doing. And as I said, like, as I have been awakening to this soul's mission of teaching voice and supporting women awaken to their voice, I have been initiated into the most alchemical and incredible situations in the most surprising way, so that I could use my voice to speak my truth in my personal life. It has been beyond what I could ever imagine, right? Like me, for example, speaking like a deep wound, a trauma that happened to me in my childhood with my family, for example. Like that is like an initiation that I've been going through, using my voice to liberate from my ancestral lines, something that happened to me that conditioned me throughout my whole life. And I was like, okay, this is happening for me. And that happened as I was launching the first round of my voice mastermind. So that was like almost like a test from the universe to see, okay, are you embodied in what you're teaching? Are you going to use your voice here to get rid of shame, to get out of your own way and really be a channel for truth? And that was really that was really challenging for me, but I did it and I continue to do it. And there's still like more layers that keep coming up in that field, right? Like showing me where There are things that I'm not seeing. Where there are resistances, where there are limitations. And the only thing that I have to keep doing to model what I guide women to do is to actually model that and embody that. So I am the one that gets initiated by life on a daily basis on how to use the voice in a way that truly is truthful and authentic. And I really have the feeling that this will continue to be the case until the end of my days, because that is what my soul came here to do, right? To become like this master at creative expression, because the fifth house in astrology is all about also like self-expression and creative expression. So I know that this is where I will become this like leading voice, but at the same time, it's also where I see all the shadows and all the limitations. So that's what my soul chose, and I'm so happy it did because it's amazing. But it is a ride. It is a wild ride.
Yes, but it's better to go with that, to just say yes to it and do it. I also sometimes speak about like it's like surfing, and it's better to be up on the board and surfing than being in the water and just laying around there. And then you have said yes and just bring it, and you feel that you're alive, at least. Because when you say no to your voice, sometimes I feel both in myself and also in the women that I work with, that the feeling that you don't feel alive. So I think the voice and is more important than we think.
Really.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, it's a true mirror to all our internal world and everything we're feeling, our, subconscious programming, the experiences that we lived when we were kids. Everything has been shaping the voice that you have. So I truly believe that by working with voice, you can really unlock so much for you, so much healing and so much power as well, because you catch yourself at every now moment how you're using your voice is reflecting you, how you're also leading with your internal world and everything that's happening to you. So it really says so much about you. To me, that is the ultimate vehicle for self-development, because everything is involved in voice. What you think, what you feel, what you have experienced, everything is having a say on voice. So it is this direct byproduct that by looking into it and going into the depths of, okay, where is this coming from? Or why is it not coming through in a way that is feeling in alignment? It really can give you so much information and so much healing.
And I love what you said about the light language that we can use, because sometimes when, even if that's not my voice like that, but just writing something and I start to think logically, everything, the creativity and the flow stops.
Yeah.
And that we can use that to just open up and clear. Beautiful.
Completely. It's truly healing. Yeah, leaning into all these channeling practices, because you really train this muscle of trust. Because we have been so
Yes.
polarized into this way of thinking and communicating and conveying a message from the very rational way. Yes, we can do things from that space, and we are masters at doing that, because we have been programmed into, this is the only way to show up on a stage, or this is the only way to go on a masterclass. You need to know what to say, you need to have the bullet points ready, you have to have the script, all of it. But because we have been polarized there, we are casting so many shadows, like we have so many shadows on the other side of the axis, right? And it's all about, okay, letting go of that control and not letting the mind get in the way of what you are meant to be communicating. Because it's great to do the preparations if that gives you peace of mind, but the peace of mind that is found when you allow yourself to be that channel connecting with your heart, that is something that I truly desire for everyone to experience, because that, to me, I've seen is true peace of mind. Being able to hold yourself in those spaces where you're using your voice truthfully and authentically, and sometimes your mind is not even involved in the process. Like, how healing is that, given that we have been so conditioned by the rational way of our voices? And that is why, every time that women lean into breakthroughs, it's incredible. It's like they remember something that has always been part of them, but that was somehow hidden or not fully expressed, right? And that's truly magical. In this last round of the Voice Mastermind, I work with one of my clients who's already an 8-figure entrepreneur who has been super successful in her business. And she leaned into light language for the first time. And it was like she just uncovered, like she's been on stages, she's done it all, right? But she just uncovered a complete new expression that made so much sense for her. And it was like, it's like I've always done that, and it really helps you bring things into perspective. Every time that you are micromanaging how you're using your voice, how you're expressing yourself, if you just go back to that polarity and understand that even if you didn't go through the script, can you trust that you're still creating impact with your frequency? Just being in your presence, like, can you trust that your frequency is enough? Because it is from that space, from my point of view, that we really create big impact in the world, not from controlling what is it that we're communicating, but from fully trusting the oracles that we are, which is the essence of the divine feminine, of the sacred feminine, of the principle of the feminine energy. Like we have always been those oracles, those sorcerers, the medicine women that people go back to for guidance and for healing, right? So I really believe that there's so much power in us, especially if we're here becoming a leading voice in the way that we are also supporting our people. We really need to go into this polarity and let go of having to control it from the mind, because it could work for men, but women are made of a different matter, right? So we also have to honor that. And that is such a beautiful way to lean in and to fully build that confidence.
Yes. And as you said, then I think the right things get said. Because sometimes, when you have a live or you say something, you don't understand why am I saying this. And sometimes I come out of a live and think, why did I say that? And then I guess get a message from someone, of course, that, oh, I just needed to hear that. So it's beautiful to be that oracle. I love it. I love it. But sometimes when I don't do it don't let the flow, the doubt starts to come. So it's, of course, you have to have it flowing.
Yeah. And it is something that you train. So, it's so important as well that we are not supposed to all of the sudden just like awaken to our psychic abilities and creative abilities, and we just show up authentically as we are. Like every single day you're giving the opportunities to trust more the channel that you are, right? So it's about really like minding the little things and the little, sorry about that. It is about you minding the little things that you can do on a daily basis, right? To build that muscle. Like you go to a yoga class for the first time, you cannot expect to just be able to do all the asanas like the teacher is doing. It is something that you build over time. So can you still show up knowing that there's more edges to your expression and to what you're here to express and communicate out into the world, but knowing that it is enough, just being aware that there is more, and it's like just that training, because the mind will always try and sabotage you from thinking that you are enough, right? Like as if you have to do more or you have to lean into more things. No, like you are enough. And I really believe that this all stems from this sense of self-worth, right? That us women have had to anchor so deeply and root in our being. Like we are the channels for creative energy. Our presence is healing. Our frequency is already healing. Just by being in our presence, you are gifted with a gift from the gods. And can you really believe that that is enough? So to me, that is deeply connected as well, the sense of self-worth, of knowing that you are already creating big impact in the world, just being who you are, and with even your clients being in your frequency. Only by being in your frequency can you trust that you're already helping them achieve their goals or whatever is it that you're helping them with, right? And that is deeply connected to how you also open the channel and trust that anything that's coming through is serving them, right? So I feel it's all just this interconnectivity that I absolutely love. Like we could be here talking about this for hours and we would still find like little pockets, right, of connection, and it's incredible.
Yes, absolutely. And going back to that, somebody of us have a childhood where we could express ourselves. I remember when I was a little girl, I was singing and dancing all the time, all the time. And sometimes I was sad and I sang and the tears was flowing, but it helped me so much. I don't know what I have done if I couldn't sing and dance and get the move. And but I also see that there are many women that have it with the ancestors, that they couldn't speak or they couldn't let their voices to be heard. So yes, we're going to wrap this up. I can't go into the next conversation because that's will be another hour. But I know
I
that
love it though. It's very
yes. But I know that you have some beautiful things that the women can come into your space and be with you more. Can you share about that?
Yeah, of course, I would love that. So the main space that I'm super excited to talk about is the Voice Mastermind, which is an experience of 13 weeks where I guide the women who are already showing up online, women who already, have a sense of purpose anchored in their hearts and that are already sharing their voices and their expression online or on stages, really supporting them to even unleash more of this authentic voice and this signature frequency that they are here to share with the world and to embody. So this Voice Mastermind, its name is The Calling, and this was like a channel name that I really felt the desire to use for this experience, right? And now after running the first round, I realized why it was that. And one of my clients reflected back to me that more than unleashing her true voice, which is like this client that has been already on stages and building a very successful brand, what she realized is that she awoke to her soul's calling through doing this work and being in this container. So that to me was like the testament of the power really of working with voice. In the end, if you go into this experience for 13 weeks in this Voice Mastermind with other sisters, of course you will unlock a new edge in the way you use your voice, because we go into the anatomy, the physics, the somatics of voice, and how you can grow a stronger voice and how you can be more confident, how you show up. But ultimately, it is about you discovering and embracing and celebrating this true frequency that you are here to create. And once you lean into that and do that and attune to this higher frequency, which is authenticity, that creates this ripple effect of alignment and also abundance and joy that comes into your world. No? So that is the profound work that we do inside The Calling. So I am running the second round. This is Scorpio season. We are gathering again in sisterhood, and for 13 weeks we'll be embarking on this journey. And there, apart from like sharing all the frameworks and all the lenses through which I teach voice, I also teach you how to implement particular vocal practices that really hold so much potential for you, and in the way that you are also using your divine instrument. So I teach you how to do overtone singing, which is an ancestral practice that has been forever used, that really holds so much potential for you, for your healing as well, and to attune to your voice, to what is this frequency that is there to share. We lead into light language, and I love it because at the end of the journey, I also give an assignment, which I call a sacred assignment, that where I invite you to actually lean in and record yourself using your voice in a way that you've never used it before, and to then showcase that with the other sisters and see what comes up and all the things, right, that this experience really brings you. So it is an incredible 13-week journey where we tackle all things voice and authentic expression and really attuning to what is this signature frequency that your soul came here to embody. So this is like the main thing that's coming in my world. I'm super excited for the second round. And also next week I'm running an immersion, which is going to be a 3-day immersion where we will be tackling like the pillars of this transformation that happens inside the calling. So it will be all about really seeing voice and reframing voice as a portal for healing, for manifestation, for, you know, consciousness. And I'll be also creating the space for women to come together and practice using their voices in these new ways, because this is truly the magic to really unlock your voice. Not only being able to express and use your voice in different ways, but also being seen in that expression and in that radiance, because that, for women especially, it is super powerful. So the focus during this immersion will also be to practice being seen and being seen in that experimentation whilst being held. So this is what's coming up in my world. So of course, if anyone is watching here and is interested, I would love to share more details with you. But yeah, thank you so much, Helena, for giving me the space to talk about this, because truly it's like a soul offering. Everything that I do is like, this is the medicine that has brought me where I am today. And I really know that there's going to be so much healing and expansion in store for all the women who join.
Yes, I can feel the aliveness and the magic that is coming with it. And it's so beautiful. And as you said, just you have to practice and you have to give it time and space, and also being seen by others are so healing.
Mm-hmm. It
Is
really
there
is.
something more that you want to share before we end this?
Well, just a word of gratitude for allowing me to be in this space. It's an absolute pleasure. I love our conversation and where it led us, because it was like almost like life, like guiding us through the topics, because we didn't have anything, right, talked about or discussed beforehand, and it's been truly magical. So thank you so much. It's been an honor, and I really appreciate you inviting me into this space. So
Yes,
thank you.
and I'm so grateful that you took your time to be here with me and share your magic. So thank you. And thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
beautiful.
Thank you for listening. If this was touching you, please feel free to share. And to find out more, check out the links below.